Be too surprising to see Doinb end up on something like the Lulu. We've seen it be something that Doinb is more than happy to go towards. But that is going to completely remove that part of the conversation because Akali made it through the picks and bans. Exceptionally strong pick right now. Doinb is one of the best.
But here's the big thing to mention is that Lee Sin can answer in lane. LeBlanc in particular can answer in mid lane. And right now, LGD should not pick a jungler or a top laner. They should pick either the AD carry or support, and the reason being is it keeps the Lee Sin as a flex pick so that they can answer Akali no matter where she goes. If she goes top lane, they put the Lee Sin top, you're having a bad time. If she goes mid lane, LeBlanc mid, you're having a bad time. FPX won't have a place they can get this Akali through the laning phase comfortably, and it kind of feels like LGD were calculated by leaving this open.
It's going to be Mark getting himself that Leona that we so often see him lock in, but that does kind of signal that they want to go with the Ezreal for Kramer as well, so things like this Draven can be an option. We've seen FPX running away with the game. Xiye playing at game number 1, and it worked wonders for them. Looks like it might be the Alistar, because let's be honest, Lwx, his support pool is pretty limited. We've seen that he plays Alistar. It looked pretty good at game 1. Stick with it while it ain't banned.
I think, you know, they're holding the Draven, but I think we knew that they need to lock in this Alistar in the third pick, because going through the second ban phase, LGD just need one ban, and it's like, you know, Lwx, even in his solo queue games he played earlier today, he played 2 Alistar games, so I'm a little bit concerned about that pool. Do you see FPX banning away the Ziggs, and this has risen in priority quite a bit. Cheaper mage mythics, buffs to his Q damage and his ult missile speed, has made him a really strong one that can kind of just non-interact in the laner phase. Like if you have a Draven, you want to be trading heavily, Ziggs just throws bombs countlessly. We could see them ban away the Varus here as well, unless they want to prioritize it. And they could actually go for the Kalista themselves. The Varus ban into Kalista pick would essentially work, but they could leave it until that second rotation if they really wanted to.
Well, LGD could also ban the Kalista. They banned the Samira. Kalista available if FPX want to go for that alongside the Alistar. Incredibly strong combo in the laning phase. But there's also things like the Tristana, things like Ezreal available as well. We don't exactly know Xiye's champion pool perfectly. It's going to be the Kaisa is the option in the end.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of AD carries down, so a bit more freedom in the champion pool. I feel like, you know, the likes of a Varus and a Draven could cause issues, but I think you're happy to take Ezreal. Kaisa used to be like the counter pick to the Ezreal, but it's just not as much of a problem anymore since he just scales so well and can build so much armor. And now over to LGD, you know, they can either go for the top or jungle depending on what they want to apply. I think either way you want something that's going to be having lane pressure in case the Akali goes there. They take the Renekton, so this Akali, whether it goes top or mid for FPX, isn't going to have a free early game, and the early game is really where you can punish this pick, and you need to shut it down because it comes up so strong. And now we get to see from FPX where they do put the Akali and what else they want to take. There still in theory is the option to go something like the Lulu, but I think they are going in a different direction. And again, this could be a flex as well, but I think this is probably just going to be that top lane Jayce and a mid lane Akali. It will be a rough lane for Doinb, but you know, it's kind of rewarded later on by being such a strong champion in the late game and just in the skirmishes in general in the mid game.
Yeah, now I don't want to get too excited here, but we've just seen the Jayce locked in for XiaoLaohu. Now let me throw some statistics at you. Now bear in mind these are from the LDL, not the LPL. He's played Jayce 11 times. He has won 9 of those games. His average KDA is 3.7. XiaoLaohu is a damn good Jayce, at least mechanically speaking. He's been dominating the top lane with this pick down in the LDL. We'll see if he can repeat that kind of performance up against Fearness, but he has the counter pick for the top side. After how we saw Tian sacrificing himself at the early stages of the game to set his top laner up, it feels like FPX are in a good position to play through the top lane once more.
It's a potential option for sure. I do want to see, though, from LGD, you have the Lee Sin, you have LeBlanc, Renekton. These are strong laners. I think if they just bully Doinb out of mid lane, you can take over the map from there, because Akali is vulnerable. You know, LeBlanc's chains will keep you in vision even if you pop your Shroud. Lee Sin has obviously always been really good into stealth champions thanks to his E revealing them and also being able to land that Q. So I would actually really like to see them just establish pressure to the side lanes. Lean at top lane, threaten a dive, lean at bot lane, threaten a gank, and just keep that pressure going throughout the game to have a strong start. And then hopefully when it gets to team fights, they don't drop the ball again. But, you know, at least if they get a good start, it makes things easier.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if they can keep their hands on the ball this time. But no Syndra locked in, no Orianna either. So could be some ball-less shenanigans here. As you can see, the Sentinels of Light logo up in the sky. It's exciting, isn't it? New event coming in League of Legends. I'm excited to see what comes of it. I've not been able to dabble in it just yet. I don't know about yourself, folks. Did you have a little look in last night as the Sentinels of Light event started?
Yeah, I gotta look at the cinematic. They put one of the cinematics they post as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
which had like
cool.
ruined Shyvana and all that stuff. But I don't know. I know you're excited, but I thought you'd be a little bit upset about what's happening to all the Petrosite. So
that's true.
It's it's a sad one.
Look, all I'm saying is great architecture over in Demacia. You know, great architecture. Yep. Very Gondor-inspired architecture.
Yes.
Let's just say it like that.
Minas Tirith, yeah.
There are some similarities, to say the least.
Inspirations, we'll say.
Yeah. It's going to be the bloom of start as we move the conversation on. For Tian, started on the bottom side, Shadow up the top side. Opposite pathing here, Mr. Orcs. I know you're a bit of a specialist in the jungle. Talk me through the game plan for our two junglers here.
Well, I think the fact that we see Tian able to path towards the top side means he's going to be able to give a hand over the XiaoLaohu. And, seen it all in. I don't get time to talk.
Yeah, Mark trying to finish the kill off. Xiye just survives. Lwx will live it as well. That is 8 summoner spells burnt in the bottom lane already within the first 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, starting strong already in this level 1. And I kind of like this because Alistar is really bad level 1. You kind of only can use your Q within melee range. You don't have the combo, which is the whole reason you pick Alistar. So LG not even giving a chance to Lwx to hit that point. So definitely a good window. Now, something I do want to talk about is we have these opposite pathing. I feel like there's a lot more opportunity for creativity when this happens because, you know, junglers can influence certain sides of the map. A big thing is we saw LeBlanc get that ward over the wall on the Raptor camp. Now, that's often good because, one, you can track the enemy jungler, you know where they are, but also you allow the opportunity to re-invade and challenge that camp on the respawn. So it was cleared there about 2:45. It takes 2 minutes 15 to respawn. So when it gets to that 5-minute mark, I'm hoping we see Shadow look to contest that one because LeBlanc should be able to help him out as kind of has permanent priority in that lane. Other than that, we're kind of seeing a little bit of non-interaction between the junglers on the opposite side. Fearness is pushing on a tower, so he's not under too much threat. And the big thing is, if Doinb had priority, we might see a dive get set up, but because he's locked on a tower, I don't think they'll go on a 2-man dive on the Renekton. So we'll just see both junglers pick up their skull crabs.
Yeah, let's be honest. We've seen FPX doing some dives on the top lane recently versus BLG. Didn't look so pretty. I'm kind of okay with them not trying to make that dive happen. I would just avoid that at all costs if I was FPX right now.
Hopefully it was a lesson. I think they've learned. I'm hoping they've learned from that and they don't go into the ghost again. For anyone who didn't catch it, they went for a 2-man dive. They both died. And then Doinb came in afterwards and also died. And they gave over 3 kills to Weiwei, which was... Actually, no, was it Weiwei? I think
no, it's to Bubu. It was Bubu.
Bubu, right.
Yeah, Bubu on the Lee Sin just absolutely took over. And, like, he got 3 kills. And the thing is, no one even got an assist. It's not like he had jungle support or anything. It was literally 1v3 under the tower, except it was so discoordinated from FPX that it wasn't really 1v3. It was like 1v2 and then 1v1. Plus a tower and all of that.
Remember?
Mark looking for the engage. Here we go. Xiye could be in trouble, but good headbutt from Lwx. And drops a cheeky little question mark as well.
Who is this rookie support on the Alistar? Because honestly, some great plays so far from in the cowbell as well.
The cowbell.
He knows how to play Alistar. That is the sign that you know how to play Alistar if you know when to drop the cowbell. So credit to Lwx. Really nice disengage there and keeps them safe.
Yeah, Lwx looks like he's enjoying himself here. Tian, has he found a way in? I don't think they could hold the minion away far enough away. Doesn't get the opportunity to get in the brush, so they're just going to freeze the wave here. And this is a great spot to be in for the bot lane of FPX. Sure, they're slightly down in CS, but they can just hold this wave for as long as they want to and kind of replenish that CS deficit. So Lwx threatens an all-in onto Kramer. Tian removes some of that vision. Now, we mentioned the 5-minute timer on those chickens, and guess where Shadow is on his way?
Yeah, we even saw a warning ping, so I think FPX very aware of what's going to happen. A ward over the wall, and there was also a ward on Shadow's Gromp to spot this. Tian is moving over. He does not want this camp to be stolen, but I think it's already too late. And Doinb is in a little bit of a hole in the mid lane matchup, so that will be a camp stolen by Shadow. And, oh, we've seen an engage in the bot lane.
All in. This is not usually how Ezreal Leona is played. You're not usually this aggressive, but they are really trying to punish Xiye. But someone is coming back up, so it won't be as dicey as it has been for FPX.
Yeah, and we did see Shadow doing the disrespectful thing, which is where you clear the big chicken and a couple of the small ones, and you don't finish the camp. So Tian had to finish it off himself, which is... Oh!
Hang on, we just... Doinb managing to make a solo kill happen. I missed exactly how that one transpired, but the TP into mid lane to make the play.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything until we see the replay, because that was a lot of back and forth, a lot of flying about, really well played from Doinb. But yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be happening. In this matchup, Xiye, you should be winning until a pretty significant point. Obviously, at level 6, you do get that kill pressure from Doinb, but on a LeBlanc, you should never allow yourself in that window. And I think what happened was Xiye overstayed to help Shadow secure the scuttle, and so didn't recall when he wanted to, was very low on mana, and just ended up getting caught out. But Doinb, perfect capitalization, and thanks to that, he's even in farm, 1 kill to 0. All things considered, this has gone really well.
So finds the R1E cancel, jumps in.
Oh, the timing's
what
off.
shurikens all the way back to the distortion? Oh my
the
goodness.
timing was off for Xiye, because obviously it keeps following you. I'm gonna say though, I'm gonna firmly say that hitbox on the shuriken was a little bit sus.
Yeah.
But still, great execution from Doinb. Xiye kind of caught off guard there in a big way. Now we do see Fearness applying some pressure top, and Xiye has made his way up, but I think will just back away.
I don't think they were quite expecting XiaoLaohu to be able to clear the wave quite as confidently as he did. And Tian knows things are happening towards the top side, so he's going to start this Drake off for himself. Doinb getting some deep vision onto that red buff here. So far, so good. Second game in a row here that FPX start off with a lead. This time around, it's Doinb with a solo kill, and they get a play in the bottom side as well. And you've really got to start to question, when are we going to see the LGD that we were getting so excited for as Mark flashes away? But they can't even get a Mystic shot in return.
And that's a little bit concerning for the bot lane. You know, this is a Xin Zhao Alistar. This is a threatening dive, so they have to back away. On the other side of the map, we see Shadow picking up the Herald, but, you know, the Herald will take 2 plates. LGD have already lost 2 plates on the bot side, and they're losing a ton of farm. Unless they're able... Oh, they're looking to engage.
The Dominus comes in, but it's just going to be a flash coming out from XiaoLaohu. Now Shadow looking for a window in. Doesn't have vision right now. Looks for the 1v1, but I'm not entirely sure if Shadow can win that. Apparently, he can get knocked under the tower. The shock blast comes through. Oh my days, XiaoLaohu in his rookie performance did decimate Shadow. That was beautiful. And now diving the bottom side as well. Mark stuck underneath the tower. It's going to be Lwx tanking for now. Unbreakable Will keeps him alive. Tian solo flare flashed away from FPX. They're just styling all over LGD.
Yeah, they managed to back away from the dive, but who really cares? The big thing was XiaoLaohu found the 1v1 on a Shadow. Shadow winning, but the knock under the tower, beautiful to get that extra damage in. You said it was a good Jayce. I'm believing it, because that was a really solid performance, especially when you're under so much pressure. Your debut game for the roster, debut game in the LPL, and you're on weak side in that scenario. Really excellent play.
XiaoLaohu making an argument for himself right here. And let's be honest, it's a tough argument to make. The guy that you try to replace is Nuggery, maybe the most valuable top laner in the entire world. But hey, with performances like this, maybe it can happen. Great little knockback there. And I mean, the rest is just simple. Just a couple of autos in. And the ward that he placed earlier pays dividends.
Yeah, just a bit disrespectful from Shadow, though. I mean, you go in that scenario and you think, what's he going to do? That is the answer. And just, yeah, a solid pickup. And now things are looking a bit concerning for LGD because the game plan was win early. You pick a Renekton, you pick a LeBlanc, you have a Lee Sin, you have that lane priority mid. We wanted the early aggression, and now Shadow's in trouble.
Certainly is, but the Shuriken can't come through. Second R has to be used, but it doesn't matter because LWX just flashes up to make the play. Doinb set up perfectly by his support / AD carry comrade, and it means FPX get yet another kill.
Yeah, and onto the Akali as well. That was the big thing with leaving this Akali open. It's fine if you shut it down and shut out the game, but Doinb hasn't been closed out this game. Yes, laning phase is a little bit rough, but he's now 2 kills and even marginally up in farm right now. Well, after this wave about even, but either way, just a really solid performance, finding good windows to punish. And Shadow, and a lot of praise from him in game 1 for his early decision making, how he set up the game. This game, he's kind of just looked a bit rough. Caught out and outplayed, in all honesty.
Feels like just, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless, Aux. How on earth does FPX perform like this with 2 rookie substitutes coming in? LWX looking amazing on this Alistar. His roams have been fantastic. His subs have been fantastic. Doinb still doing Doinb things. Now he's finished his mythic as well, as he even looks for a shuriken onto Shadow and Xiye as they drop themselves this Rift Herald. I don't know if anyone can aggro it so it doesn't go for the charge. It is going to go for the charge. There's a Crescent Strike. Try and disrupt this play. Tower will survive. LWX in onto everyone. Solar Flare to keep him in the play here. Damage coming on through, but he is damn tanky. Kramer finishes him in the end. Xiye walks away with his life. Oh, the Prey Seeker from Jingyi. I like the attempt, but the minion blocks it.
Yeah, and a good play from LGD and a much needed one. The Herald is thrown down mid, which is obviously where you want it in terms of taking that structure to get the 2 plates, but all then coming top.
Oh, hang on. XiaoLaohu's out of mana here. Fearness might be able to finish him. Thundering Blow to knock him away. Keep XiaoLaohu safe. And they'll just walk away from this one. No kill comes down in the top side.
No hesitation. XiaoLaohu able to keep himself alive. It's a little bit dicey for a moment there, but he's doing fine. But yeah, mid lane, getting that Herald down, and obviously the work done by the LeBlanc earlier in the laning phase means that the tower is precariously low. I like the fact LGD find that window to group up and apply that pressure. Definitely puts them in a better spot than they were before. Second dragon now spawning though. Tian is on the side of the map for it, but it looks like Mark feeling confident to ward FPX away. They are making moves to set up the vision in the area and at least make themselves aware if it does get started by FPX.
And I have to say, this game is feeling tense. This is feeling really competitive, right? Even gold as we head to the 13-minute mark. It's 13 minutes on the clock. It's 1-3 in kills. It's a bit of synergy there between the scoreboard and the scoreboard. TP coming on through, though. Here's a dive from Doinb and XiaoLaohu trying to get onto Fearness. The slow comes in. Can he land the shuriken? The R1 is there. The R2 to finish the kill. It's just beautifully clean. Doinb now with a hat trick. He is feeling fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I am so concerned now with the 3-hour Akali already. They will lose that mid tower. It's a decent amount of gold coming in, but it's a scary prospect to deal with Doinb on this champion when he's been performing so well. They'll pick up the dragon on this side of the map, and now applying pressure bot lane. They are zoning them off, so this could well be a big reward for LGD.
Xiye tries to go in onto them, but LWX just headbutts him away. Keeps his AD carry safe once more. LGD winning out in terms of gold in these trades with that mid lane tower going down. But I think Doinb might just be able to answer that in a second as he's going to crash a wave. I believe just a couple of autos here should do the trick on this tower, and Fearness is a little ways away, so won't be able to get here to defend in time. I say that. He's arriving just now. Doinb will actually use the shuriken just to finish that one off. Now into the Shroud as well, looking for the 1v1 on the Renekton. But this is a Renekton. I don't know if he can win that 1v1. Has the Proto Belt, perfect execution to get away.
Yeah, right decision there. Obviously, big shutdown on this Akali. Don't want to give that one over. But does mean your ult is down for a little bit. Obviously, Akali loses a lot of agency without that one, but I don't think FPX are too concerned. They managed to equalize in the gold. But even so, this is kind of similar, kind of reminiscent of that game 1 where LGD are making smart moves, and despite the fact they're losing these skirmishes, they're able to come out ahead. Well, I mean, even in gold. But FPX, I am so scared for LGD going up against them in team fights. This Akali is going to be such a problem.
Yeah, and also not to mention that Jingyi can follow up so well. If Doinb can get damage across the whole team with his 5-point strikes with a perfect execution, if Tian is in the middle of everyone getting that AoE damage down, same for these shock blasts, it's just one single ult Q coming out from Jingyi that will finish a team fight off. Feels fantastic for the side of FPX right now, but LGD is certainly not out of the running, right? When you look at this composition, when it comes to skirmishes, this team can brawl. So FPX do have to be cautious on how they take engages.
Absolutely, because I think if you disrespect LGD, there's things like the Renekton and the Lee Sin that can run amok in team fights. And as much as the Akali is a massive threat, it's not as easy this game than other games, because, you know, you have those scenarios where there's something like an Aphelios, which is an immobile and very obvious target. Here, you know, LeBlanc, not really easy to pin down. Ezreal as well, also one of the safer AD carries, so definitely makes things a bit trickier. FPX will kind of mirror what LGD did earlier and make a big effort to push mid, throw that Herald down and just take that tier 1, able to equalize in total towers, and both teams having taken down that tier 1 really opens the map quite a bit. See a wave pushed in top, won't be enough to take out the tower, but both teams in a pretty decent spot. And we have 2 minutes 20 on the next dragon, where I feel like there may well end up being a pretty big team fight between the two. You could just opt out of it and go for a cross map play, but I don't think that's going to be their style.
I don't think it will be either, to be quite honest with you, Aux here. I think we're going to have a little bit of a brawl for the next Drake in a couple of minutes' time. But that said, Ezreal does take a little while before he's really coming onto the board himself. Shadow hovering on the top side. Mark moving up as well. As you can see, Lwx and Tian over there as well. Doinb starts this one off. Has the shuriken onto Shadow, and he does go in. Of course he does. It's Doinb. We're talking about kickback, though. Perfect execution out of the play. Lwx disrupting here. Playing defense for his team. As Tian moves in to try and help out. This tower will go down, though. Nicely done. Good little dodge there by Lwx onto the solar flare from Mark. And the Pracy comes in.
Mechanics there.
It certainly is. You know he can position.
A nice play, though, from LGD. They put that pressure down on the top side. They crushed the wave, and there was a small one. And now they can reset and move to the other side of the map and set up for this dragon. Doinb doesn't die, but because they burn his ultimate and chunk him out, the Akali isn't a threat anymore. And that's the important thing. This Akali is a problem that needs to be dealt with in any scenario where she shows up. So now you see that wave in the top lane. We can see XiaoLaohu has to go up to answer it. And this does give a window where LGD can apply a little bit more pressure around that dragon area, because they know, XiaoLaohu wants to be answering the wave first and foremost.
Now, luckily for FPX, Doinb will have his ult up by the time Dragon is coming onto the map. So FPX still going to be in a fine spot to be able to contest. They've got all of the summoners available, including both TPs. Same story for LGD. So it does feel like this is going to be even Stevens on the board here. It's just a 1,000 gold lead in favor of LGD. That said, though, we are going to see that Kraken Slayer has already finished for Jingyi. It feels like a long time since he got a good recall off, or at least since he got an item for himself. As Xiye pushing in the mid lane here. LGD just going to try and brute force a tier 2 before the Drake. LWX is wanting to flank. Fearness is in trouble. FPX aren't contesting the mid tower. They're just looking for a kill top of Fearness. Managing to get away with his own life here. LWX has to use his ulti to survive. Tian threatening the all-in as well. Fearness finally getting chased down here. Doinb one more auto, but the sustain is there. The heal comes through and Shadow saves the day to try and get on top. LWX now goes down. And suddenly, a game that has been looking fantastic for FPX is flipping on its head, and LGD are taking control.
Fearness, I still don't know how he survived. It felt like every time he was hit by an Akali Q, he had another way of healing up. It was the Gore Drinker, it was the Q, it was the ultimate as well. Just able to survive on the edge. And Doinb actually miscalculating based on that. And then we see the 3 members of FPX who are left mid trying to respond. And LWX is caught out. A dragon for LGD, and a pretty solid play. I initially had some concerns about Fearness heading up to the top lane. Did expose him to that play, but he's able to escape, and the rest of the team are able to capitalize on that.
So we're finding ourselves in a very competitive game here, and a very competitive series, and I think that is to the surprise of a lot of people that follow the LPL closely. We saw 2 substitutions come in today for FPX. Let's take another look at this play onto Fearness, though, because XiaoLaohu, the one to set it up. Doinb goes in. They just don't have the damage to finish the kill.
I mean, look at all that healing, and then flashes away to dodge the shock blast at the end. And then this is the bit I love, where Doinb goes Q, ult, Q, 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 and then it's the gore drink at the end to finally healing up enough to get away. But it's like every time Doinb throws out his own shurikens, there's an answer for Fearness, and he's looking for the 1v1.
Oh, he certainly is. The shock blast misses, though. Doesn't matter. Still gets an auto hit. Still gets himself a solo kill on his first ever series in the LPL. XiaoLaohu is making a name for himself right here. We've got multiple Tigers in the top lane now. But FPX still looking for opportunities in the mid lane as Tian moves in to try and pincer onto LGD. I don't think they're going to look for anything just yet, though, as Kramer and Shadow threaten. Mark looking for an engage here. FPX do have to back away.
And it feels like it's just LGD bullying the bot lane of FPX, while the rest of FPX are just applying this pressure. XiaoLaohu finding the solo kill onto Fearness. Pretty solid play so far. And, you know, you hyped up as Jayce, and it is really delivering so far in this game. A massive threat right now. And I'm looking at the solo laners of FPX. Jayce 2-0-1, Akali 3-0. They are going to be big problems to deal with for the side of LGD. Isn't really much to play for on the map right now, but 3 minutes until that dragon. And in the meantime, very much just contesting the mid wave and threatening some of that Baron vision.
And, you know, Xiye not having the most standout performance here in the second game of the series, but that's fine, because he's not exactly falling massively behind. I wasn't sure how aggressive Doinb was going to be there. He's 25 CS down, which is not great for him, but look, he's on the Kaisa. He's gone for the Kraken Slayer. He's going Lord Dom second, so he's basically playing tank shredder. He's saying, I'm going to sit at the back, I'm going to auto-attack Mark and Fearness, and I'm going to try and whittle through these health bars. Later on into the game, that's when he'll have his strength coming through.
I think that's completely fine because, you know, you have so much backline threat from this FPX lineup. Just in Doinb alone, that being able to deal with the frontliners and deal with these bruises in the form of the Renekton and Lee Sin is pretty valuable for the team. You see LGD looking to try and contest on this Baron vision in the jungle as well. Doinb's fishing, but he might be caught out.
Yeah, he was the one getting fished for in the end, as Doinb will have his shroud, but the solar flare trying to predict his movement. Nicely done, but it doesn't quite land. Now the rest of his team gets punished for his mistake. Lwx gets a triple knock-up. Kramer goes down, though. That was cheeky from Doinb. Has to dodge the sonic wave, but Shadow won't let him. Kicks him, and the sigil of malice from Xiye to finish it off. Now XiaoLaohu finds another cheeky pick. How are FPX going even in this fight? It's unbelievable.
I mean, it just feels like it's a 1-5 for LGD, and then Kramer just dies, and then Xiye just dies.
No way.
It's not over yet.
No way. 2v3. Here they go. FPX looking for a 2v3. XiaoLaohu comes back in. Tian should be the first one to fall. Barely surviving for a second there. XiaoLaohu low on HP. Gets one. Gets two. Lwx saves the day. And the triple for the Tiger.
What a debut on this Jayce. This guy's a monster. They go into the 2v3. He manages to survive throughout that and pick up the triple kill. Really amazing performance. Again, his debut for FPX, stepping into Nuguri's shoes and delivering so well.
This is an unbelievable performance coming out from FPX as a whole, but especially XiaoLaohu. This 2v3, first off, gets this pick. This is an unofficial quadra kill, by the way, and then is there for the flank.
I mean, it's the confidence to come into this play and, like, communicate with Tian, like, we can go, let's go, I am strong. Shock Blast dodges the minion, hits onto 3, and then he dives into the mess. And it looks like at this point things might be going wrong, but there's just not enough damage to take him down. Jumps back in with the big heal from the Eclipse, and then Lwx is there for support. Really great play, and the confidence to look for that with unfavorable numbers and come out ahead. He's now 6-0 on this Jayce. Looking like an MVP performance if FPX can close this out, but gold still even, 2 dragons to LGD, and they're wanting to fight for this dragon.
But the thing is, the gold is even because of XiaoLaohu, because of that hero play. That's the kind of play that wins series. And that's exactly what FPX are looking to do if they can finish this game off. Onto the Drake here. It's 2 in favor of LGD so far. This would be the second for FPX if they could get it. Looking for a fight ideally here as they threaten the all-in. Drake goes down. It is going to be FPX that take it, and they look for a fight. On top of it, Doinb finishes another. 2 already down, and LGD fleeing for their lives. as FPX want a little bit more, but Kramer's got some damage, and Xiye toying with the idea of going back in. Doinb finishes his recall narrowly there. And FPX, they get the Drake, they get 2 kills, they get everything they could have wanted.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to secure it, they managed to get a couple of kills, and LGD, they don't over-chase them because they respect the fact that the consistent damage from Kramer, the poke from Xiye, they don't want to walk into that, so they back off, they take the win, and just set up once more for that Baron. At this point, it's so hard to face check this FPX lineup because you're dealing with things like the Jayce Shock Blast, which does so much damage, and just the pure pick potential. Fearness goes and scans over, double checks they haven't started the Baron, but he backs off quickly. LGD need to get a little bit of vision in this area, but it's so scary to do so.
I mean, just look at the scoreboard, man. These 2 solo laners for FPX. Obviously, Doinb's popping off on Akali. Like, not much of a surprise there. That's kind of what you expect. But 7-0-3 on this Jayce for XiaoLaohu. It is beautiful to witness. He is 2 levels above everyone else in the game. 2 full levels. That is mind-blowing. As remember, could be in trouble here. Xiye toying with the idea, but we'll back away.
I remember this wasn't a scenario where like Tian played through top and gave this guy loads of resources. XiaoLaohu was honestly surviving in weak side scenarios, and yes, the team did eventually come to assist him, but like for the most part, this has been him surviving punishment from LGD and then just flourishing in the later skirmishes and team fights. Really great to see on the side of FPX. And ult comes out again. They're so scared the Baron might be started. It is actually a pretty quick Baron with the Jayce there as well. A lot of sustained damage. So they constantly have to make sure it's not being done. They will take this reset window from FPX to push up the mid lane, walk into the jungle, and try and establish some vision control. They see Doinb on the bot side of the map, so they're confident they can take this 5-member push and contest FPX away. But FPX are fine with this. They wait a little bit, they let Doinb push in the wave. Someone from LGD will have to answer, and once that happens, that's when they're confident to press the go button.
That's the window that they'll be looking for. It is still only a 2,000 gold lead in favor of FPX, but the fact that there is a gold lead in favor of FPX, I think, is the big statement there, because LGD have been ahead for a long time in this game. Doinb is crashing a massive wave into that bot lane tier 2 tower. He's rotating up for a flank on the backside of LGD here. Xiye happy to face check into these brushes, perhaps a little too confident, because he's not entirely sure where Doinb is.
Yeah, but it's like how LGD have to bring 4 to make sure, but Doinb might be caught out.
Yeah, could be in trouble, but then again, maybe you could just 1v1 Fearness, because that was a lot of damage. Perfect execution used in the middle of the scrap will be used to just disengage in the end.
Yeah, it's still, you know, a little win for LGD. Taking that ult off Akali means you have a small reprieve where FPX won't want to fight, but still, you see Doinb able to get away in that scenario. Had a little ult through Fearness to make sure you could use the second one to get away. The LGD will take that window, push the wave up, and then resets will start coming in. We can see Mark has already done his to get back on the map, setting up for this dragon in a minute 20. This will be third for either team, but it's not just the dragon itself, it's the consequences. You can secure this dragon, but if you lose the fight, that's likely going to be the Baron go down if there's enough members of the enemy team alive. So have to be really cautious about their approaches here. The big ones to watch has to be these solo laners for FPX, but on the other side, Kramer has slowly and steadily been farming up a pretty substantial lead. 3 items strong on this Ezreal, a whole item over Xiye, and he's got that stopwatch as well. So if I'm looking at anyone for LGD to carry this fight, it's got to be him.
Certainly does. Kramer takes a shock blast to the side of the head, and he's not happy about that one. I'm just trying to think about the grand picture here for FPX when we're watching these kinds of games. If they can actually take this as a 2-0, which is a big if still, LGD certainly not out of this one. When I thought about FPX back in 2019, it was very much the sum is greater than the parts kind of team. And I felt like that was still the case. But with this kind of performance, maybe that's no longer the case. Maybe they just have the superstars as well. Blue buff taken by Doinb. Team fight comes out. Tian goes in. Doinb in the middle of everyone, trying to threaten onto Kramer. Perfect execution is there. He's kicked back, dashes back through, and takes out the AD carry. Xiye comes back in, but he's finished off by Xiye. Fearness gets one, finishes off Doinb, gets the shut down, but should be shut down for his trouble. will get away with his flash, though. Keeps himself alive, but this will be sole point for FPX. And yet, another team fight goes the way of the Phoenix.
And it just feels like it's a consistent thing in this game. Kramer was the one we're highlighting to carry, but he wasn't able to find safety from Doinb. Once more, the Akali decimating any AD carry who comes near. FPX, even with the mid laner going down, have enough strength to heading over to Baron. Shadow has flash and is waiting over the wall. You can see Mark moving up, a TP from Fearness as well. They want to get vision here, but FPX are hunting for the jungler.
Oh, he's been found. He's been spotted. He will be taken down. Another pick for FPX. It should mean they can't do the Baron, at least for now. So Shadow, at minimum, has bought time for his team. But again, these kind of situations are starting to spiral out of control for LGD. The gold lead is increasing for FPX. They got another Drake. They can just reset and then threaten the Baron again. It feels like LGD are running out of options.
And especially as they got FPX got that last dragon, because when it was even at 2 apiece, you know, regardless of which way it goes, you're okay with it. I mean, regardless of which way it goes, the team fight outcome can be a more important thing. But when the enemy team has 3, you have to secure that dragon. Speaking of securing, FPX want to secure this fight.
They're knocking up onto Mark here. Not the ideal target. Solar Flare goes in. Lwx is low on HP. And FPX got to exit out of stage north as they go upwards out of the play. LGD stopped the Baron play happening, and, you know, Doinb using his entire combo onto Mark. I'm not really sure that's the greatest target.
Yeah, I think maybe just trying to kill the first person who came, but very tanky for the Leona here. Not really able to take Mark out, and as a result, they will just back away. Don't lose too much for it, other than a bit of pressure, but LGD doing good to answer. And again, you know, FPX now on that 3 dragon point. LGD likely are going to have to wait for that next dragon to take a fight, but, you know, even if you do okay in the fight, even if you survive, even if you come out a bit ahead, if you lose that dragon smite against Tian, and he has been really good so far this series on his smites, then it's Ocean Soul to FPX. And I feel like that has a fair bit of value, particularly for that Zhao, who can obviously sustain so much over the longer course of a fight.
Yeah, an Ocean Soul to a composition that is quite happy to have these long drawn-out fights anyway is... That would be good night, Mr. Tom, for LGD, to be quite honest. They'll be put to bed, they'll be put to sleep. But now,
Doinb's got some items.
trying to... He does have some items, you're not wrong. 4 of them, to be specific. The decap coming in is a bit of a nightmare for LGD here. In he goes to try and flex his muscles onto Kramer once more, just threatening the backline. Kramer will survive. Xiye goes back. The shuriken landed, but it's not going to be followed up on just yet. Fearness instead is the target on this front line, taken down by Jingyi, who walks away with his life, but actually finished off by Xiye. But it was a sacrificial play. Takes 1 for 1 there. AD carry for mid laner. Kramer now gets chased down. Tian has a stopwatch to keep himself safe. And XiaoLaohu with another. In goes Shadow. He wants a bit of the action himself, but you can't go for that one. You can't finish off the Zhao that easy. And he's led them all the way up to the Baron. In fact, they're not even asked about the Baron. They're just going to go mid.
Yeah, I think they can just end the game here. It's 30 seconds of the respawn for the carries. There's only Mark left alive, and he's not going to be able to do anything. A lot of damage to cut through these. And FPX looking like they're going to close this series out with a 2-0, but not before taking down Mark.
Mark will go down, but Aux, this is fully unbelievable. FPX with a sub away from Nuggery in the top side, with an emergency sub of Crisp, with 2 rookies on the squad, take a 2-0 unprecedented victory over LGD.
Just a massive performance, and particularly XiaoLaohu in the top lane, monstrous on that Jayce. There were big shoes to fill, and it felt like it wasn't the optimal scenario to debut in, you know? One substitute would have been a thing that the team had to play around and had factored in, but the last minute substitution in the bot lane could have caused issues. But we see XiaoLaohu able to flourish regardless of that and looking like a really solid addition to the roster. And credit to Lwx, who's playing support and doing, honestly, pretty good job with Alistar. I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, Lwx is making Crisp a little nervous right now. Maybe looking for a roll swap. You can see big grins across the faces, and I think you said it right when you said big shoes to fill up in that top side for XiaoLaohu. And you know what they say about big shoes? Big feet. And XiaoLaohu definitely has them, because he was stomping all over Fearless. in the top side of the map. Beautiful stuff here. And honestly, I'm just kind of taken aback. I'm a bit gobsmacked on how well FPX have played today.
Yeah, and, you know, I have to say that LGD had some good ideas. There was definitely some smart play coming out from them. Some of their cross maps kept the game very even. Some of the decision making regarding taking structures and heralds. And Shadow showed, you know, he has an understanding of how to accrue an advantage in the jungle. But all these things are dwarfed in FPX, which is better in the fights. And in this meta, that's really what matters. Unless you can accrue a massive gold lead, you just need to perform better in the fights, because at the end of the day, they managed to keep it relatively even, and then they just demolished them at that point. And that's kind of how the series went. That was the pace of it. And I had some reservations about this roster with 2 new members in and 1 member in a different role. How well would they coordinate in things like team fights? Apparently very well.
Yeah, apparently it's just completely fine for them. And, you know, we see these kind of performances from LPL teams regularly where they surprise how well they can just decimate a team if they get a minor lead. And the thing is, when you see like international tournaments, people will see an LPL team playing a little disrespectfully and managing to get away with it. People will criticize that. People call it disrespect, right? But it's actually just pure confidence. And when you see wins like this from a team like FPX, you can see why these players play with just nothing but confidence, because they know that they've got the mechanics to take over. We'll just look, Jingyi is a support, okay? So just forget his damage numbers. Don't worry about that. We'll focus on XiaoLaohu, who's on 31k on the Jayce.
Wait, I mean, that's a lot. LWX nearly had damage in Xiye. In fairness, I don't think there was too many ample opportunities to find damage in that, and they were punished a bit in the bot lane. Kramer and Mark, credit to them. Actually, that level 1 star in the game, pretty good. So we did, again, there's some shining lights on LGD. It's not all bad, it's not all doom and gloom. But FPX, I mean, there were some absolute stars in that roster. And as you said, XiaoLaohu, Doinb, the solo laners were monstrous in this game. And in the series in general, really strong performers.
And it's a rough one for LGD as well, because it doesn't feel like they had individual players that were massively underperforming. I think Shadow had a pretty rough series for himself, but generally speaking, it doesn't feel like this was an individual player issue. This feels like this was an issue of figuring out how to play the game as a whole team, and it's concerning because that's a lot harder to fix, right? Yeah. One player underperforming is a bit easier to fix, whereas the whole team not being sure how to play League of Legends right now, that's a big concern for LGD. And moving forwards, this was a matchup when we had full rosters. In my mind, this was a fairly even matchup that I was thinking would set a precedent for either team moving forward. Now we have this weird version of FPX with 2 substitutes that wins over LGD, and I'm not sure what precedent that sets for FPX, but for LGD, that sets a very bad precedent moving forwards of what actually do you have in the tank? Is this a team that is going to be contesting the top of playoffs anymore? Because with a performance like that, I'm not sure if that's the case.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about if FPX were at full strength, if you think about other teams in the league, you think about EDG, and I'm like, I don't think this would have gone very well either. And as you said, hard to fix, because if there's things around, you know, early pathing, priorities, draft, those things aren't too hard to fix. You know, it's very easy to look at them in isolation and go, this was a problem, let's change it to this. But team fighting as a whole, it's something that you have to just practice endlessly and be able to coordinate as a team. You'll definitely be able to look back at them and go, okay, this was a mistake, we shouldn't have done this, we shouldn't have done that. But it felt like no matter what the context of the situation was, no matter what the setup was, FPX just won the team fights, and it's going to take a lot of work to find a fix for that. And season's halfway over halfway over, sorry. So, you know, it's a worrying trend towards those playoffs.
Oh, are they Diamond 2, or just that last time I heard worrying trend, it was to do with the Rumble in the top lane. Moving on though, I definitely am curious about what happens for FPX from the back of this, right? Because, you know, we don't exactly know the reason for the substitution in the top side with Nuguri. We know that obviously Chris was subbed out due to medical reasons. Hopefully that all resolves itself. Hopefully Chris can rejoin the roster, which obviously for Jingyi, he's had a great performance here as his debut in the LPL. He can definitely be happy with what he's done here, but I don't think he was ever vying for a position on the main roster. And the conversation around the top lane is like, look, it's Nuguri. Like, pretty unarguably the best top laner in the world last year. In spring, he looked absolutely exceptional. Is there really a conversation to be had about him actually being subbed out in the top lane? I'm not really sure. I don't think so, to be honest. But XiaoLaohu certainly made a fantastic argument for himself today.
You know what? I'm going to say, I think Nuguri has insane peaks. I think that goes without saying. But there's also been some games where he's been a bit of a liability for the team. And in terms of more consistent performance, it's very early days. But this series, XiaoLaohu was consistent. Even when he was in weak side scenarios, he still looked fine. And I think with a team like FPX, where you have Doinb in the mid lane, you know, you don't want a top laner who's losing you games. So if we see a more consistent Nuguri, then I completely agree. He's an all-star top laner. But his recent performances, I think it could make sense to give XiaoLaohu some opportunities, especially if you're playing against a team who like to lean through the top side and potentially punish that. If you're coming into a series where your strategy is we want to play through top, then, you know, fair play, Nuguri will be a monster, but it's that opposite scenario that I'm concerned about. So I think bare minimum what we can say is that FPX have options now, and I think XiaoLaohu has proved himself as a valid option. So I guess we see how things develop. But I think the fact that they came out strong in this series, despite all the situations leading up to it, is promising.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is this is just one series, right? So
yeah,
plenty of question marks still remaining around XiaoLaohu. Obviously, he's looked fantastic in this series, but when you're against teams that play around the top side that also look exceptionally strong, that's when you could have issues. Certainly teams like RNG, for example, that pretty much exclusively play around topside these days. That could certainly prove as a bit of an issue, but that remains to be seen. I don't even know if we'll get more series out of him or whether Nuguri will return. I'm excited to find out what the future of FPX is, because I'm not gonna lie, we all heard about a roster change coming in for FPX a couple of days ago, and we were all like, okay, Bo's back. Bo got announced as technically back within the organization. Like, it was all getting very exciting. And then we heard that there was a roster change coming in for today. I was like, oh my God, Bo's back on the squad. They're going to win the World Championship. But the thing is, Tian's been playing really great as well recently. I don't think Tian has been a big issue for FPX. I don't think that they need to sub out Tian or anything like that. And then we see it was Nuguri that was subbed out. Everyone was so confused, but XiaoLaohu ultimately manages to do a great job to fill Nuguri's shoes. And I think, considering the amount of shenanigans that has happened with FPX in the last couple of days, taking a 2-0 win here is a monumental victory for the organization. Let's look at our MVP. It is, of course, the Jayce in the top lane. XiaoLaohu, in his debut series in the LPL, manages to get Man of the Rift. What a performance from the rookie.
Yeah, just really monstrous game. And I feel like it's a fact that, again, there was attention put topside by the enemy team. We saw that dive attempt from Shadow where he was able to turn it around, and just a really strong performance all around. In the team fights, he was a monster, able to clean up, and that confident play he went for where it was a 2v3. This is obviously that turnaround in the top lane play where he's able to find that window to punish Shadow. Just really exceptional, and from a rookie coming in these circumstances, it's solid to see.
Really beautiful. I mean, this solo kill especially, where Fearness is actually the one to start it off, but it's XiaoLaohu that takes over, and then this flank was just beautiful. And props to Lwx as well for making sure that this play can happen.
Yeah. Comes in late, and credit to him as well. Obviously, being an off-roll scenario isn't optimal, but managed to deliver